Okay, so I am now in the process of wrapping everything up as far as my sharpening my arguments in my book when it comes to the Jilly Juice protocol, the Jilly Juice mentality, and what immortality is and what mortality is, and also fusing together politics, religion, and science, and deifying people and worshiping past, present, and potentially future icons of the world. And yeah, I've been debating, not literally like not too much. Like, I'm not trying to annihilate. Okay, so the whole Socratic method is to debate, and then annihilate. Okay, I'm not looking to annihilate anyone. You know, everyone's in their separate journey in my Jilly Juice world as well as out there. And some are right in the middle of their process of dealing with diagnosable conditions and finding and seeing relief from what used to be pain and what used to, not allow them freedom of movement. And now they are able to move and have, and be able to move around and do stuff that they weren't able to do before. And so I don't know what their outcome is going to be. I have no idea if they're going to evolve with my information or stay stuck. This is the thing. I am foregoing all of the religions of the world, like everything. That's why I went all the way back to the pantheon, to the original pantheon, the Sumerian pantheon, because I had to study who these gods were. And then, were they dubbed immortal? I don't know if they were, but we know that they were called gods. But what are gods? See, that's the thing, is when someone talks about God, and that's used in Christianity, that's used in all different religions. It's also another term for is like higher power, or some kind of deity or goddess. And they're used in the Ascension world, in the Wiccan religion, in satanic world, okay, Christianity, Satanism, Judaism, Buddhism, Tibetanism, or Tibetan, there's something as Tibetan, Taoism, all the religions. I don't care what they're believing in the Phoenix Rising, or they believe in reincarnation, resurrection. They have a 501c3 attached to the religion. All of them are depicting worshiping a mortal. That's what God is. It's a worshiping a mortal, a person who dubs themselves much higher, much better educated, better clothing, better connections. And they have allowed the people that love them and hate them to deify them, and then write them down write them down in history books to make you think that they need to be worshipped, that they need to be remembered in history. And so we have a lot of people that are investing in dead people, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Zeus, whether it's some kind of god from the past, whether it's Mohammed, whether it is Einstein. We can acknowledge them to say thank you for your contribution to humanity, but I see no reason to create a 501c3 organization around them. I see no reason to worship them. I see no reason to take all of what they've written and make it like someone needs to take everything they said either literally, or try to interpret it based upon how you want to spin what they said, based upon your own agenda. And so this is where the demigods are in our society, where they are investing in dead people and the dead people's texts as if this is the handbook for life. And I know you've been kind of seeing me sort of like look like I'm debating with somebody in my group, and in a lot of ways I am. I'm not going to do it any longer. I'm not going to like take her off my Facebook, because she's not going to really like antagonize me. She does what she does. I do what I do. The reason why I'm kind of debating the way I'm debating right now is because I am sharpening my own sword. Not that I want to hurt anyone, but I am sharpening my own arguments. Because when I write this book, I cannot come off like a hypocrite. I can't come off like I'm being binary driven. I can't come off being hypocritical. I have to be consistent, which means that I can't say that the original Sumerian pantheon was better or or worse than the Greek mythology. They were all mortal people who happened to be deified by the population because they held more skills, had more knowledge, and the reason why they had more knowledge because they kept knowledge from the slave class. And so when you keep knowledge from somebody, my parents did it to me. They kept knowledge from me, and so that way they acted like my mom acted like a goddess to me. She would point out things that I wasn't aware of and not really tell me how she came up with this, but she would just be like, this. And I'm like, well, you have, a lot more knowledge, so you can say that or do that, and I felt always less than. I felt like I didn't have enough knowledge to really go toe to toe with her, because I wanted to go toe to toe with her, but I didn't have the knowledge or the articulation or the background to do it. Now I can, but she won't ever debate me. Oh, hell no, she will never debate me. But that's what's like being a god and a goddess, is where you feel you have more knowledge than somebody else, and then you can wield that power and use that as a way to manipulate and also extract resources. And so, anyways, Jesus, stop with these messages, people. And so anyways, I don't want to have that kind of, I don't want to depict that kind of status. I don't want people thinking because I'm back and forth talking with this person that I'm subscribing to their religion, to their belief system. No, I'm not. But I don't want to annihilate this person either. I do honor who she is, because she is going to see some kind of good outcome with this protocol if she stays with it. I just don't want her to be in a cured state and then stay stuck in the dogmas of new religions and old religions of the past, putting and investing energy into people who are dead. She's alive. She needs to honor herself. But I can't say that to her, really. I've said it. I mean, I've said it on a neutral platform on someone else's page, because she had to debate on that and say stuff. And I'm very polite. I mean, I'm polite. She's polite to me. I don't really go and debate on her page. If she goes on my page and says something, then I'll go back and on her page and say something, but in a nice way. But at some point, I don't want to be doing that either. Okay? I don't want to annihilate anyone. I don't want to debate with anyone on an endless basis trying to convert them, because that's what it ends up. But the reason why I am right now, because I have to really understand my point of view and come off very consistent. It's those that believe one thing and do one thing and say another. They're going to say one thing, and then they will take, like a demigod, they will give you something, and then the whole hypocrisy and the conflict, what is it called? The conflict of interest is when you take it away. So when people have conflicts of interest, is that they are very biased, or they are saying that they have a different version of the same thing, but it's still the same thing. You're just putting another spin on it. You're just adding different words to it. And no different than saying, here, this is Cipro antibiotic, and then they get bad press because some of the ingredients were a little aggressive, so they take away one ingredient. Now it's not called Cipro anymore. Now it's called something else. Okay, so like NutraSweet. NutraSweet is now called Neotame. Okay? Or aspartame. And so just because you change the name to something doesn't mean it's any different. You just put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. You just dressed it up and changed some of the ingredients, but it's still the premise. The intention is still the same. That's what all these religions are, whether they're offshoots. I mean, the whole thing with the Dalai Lama, the whole thing with this whole rising and dying and resurrection. What is it? Death and resurrection. That's how the Dalai Lama comes in. That's how all the new Dalai Lamas are put out there. They go and dub someone that they think is like divine in some way. I don't know how they do that. Or like the pool of cardinals. When one pope dies, they go to the pool of cardinals, and they have somehow had to qualify to be a cardinal. And so now they're all these cardinals, and then the pope dies, they go and pick from that pool of cardinals. Well, you are going to be the one that we're going to dub, who's going to translate the word of God, or the word of Buddha, or the word of Mohammed, or the word of whatever. Okay? And the Jewish religion too. I mean, they're looking for a Messiah. They're praying to a one God, a monotheistic God. and they're waiting to be saved. Though the Christian religion says that they were already saved by Jesus. I don't know what makes them think that, but that's what has been put out there for hundreds and thousands of years. Hundreds and hundreds of years, or thousands and thousands of years. Okay, I mean, Christianity is only 2,000 years old. I mean, Jesus was a Jew first, and Jews were the chosen ones by some of the gods to go then and exploit. Not saying it's a bad thing, because you had to have a master class, you had to have a slave class. The Jews were the slaves of Egypt way back in antiquity, and they vowed not to be that again. And they knew how to construct society in such a way where you can have order and organization and production and innovation, but everyone had to be in their specific place. Now, in America, you're able to rise above your station if you can deal with it at the microbial level, if you don't have too many deficits stopping you. And right now, our society, we have a lot of people who have deficits stopping them from rising above their station. So they hit the wall, and then they're dissatisfied. They can't rise anywhere above because they have predispositions. They can't sit still. Their mind is cloudy. Okay, so even before Judaism, because the Sumerians were not a Semitic people. And so they were taught by the original humans that were mortal. Anu was mortal. Enlil, mortal. Enki, mortal. The pharaohs, they were mummified. You see them being passed around out here like in the Smithsonian and whatever. They were mortal. They were not immortal. Immortal means, now that I figure out how to explain what immortality is when you are living longer relative to the average population. Though immortality back then may have meant that they were living to maybe 100, 200 years, but they look like the crypt keeper. I don't know how you could live to be, it just depends on the climate and I don't know what the climate was back then. I don't know what the infrastructure was like back then. I don't know how many people the pharaohs were around back then. And so that is why they didn't last a long time, and and they're dead because at some point somebody penetrated, whether something or somebody penetrated the pharaoh's defenses, and the pharaohs weren't immortal. Now they're calling it reincarnation. They're gonna, and the big pyramids had all their worldly possessions, and so I guess immortality to them was going to heaven or whatever that other world is to them. And so that's immortality to them. But maybe, I think I looked up how old Tutankhamun was, and maybe he was like maybe 98 or 70. So they weren't really immortal when you think about it. And the original gods weren't really immortal. But immortality, now that in this modern day definition, we think it's someone that can live forever and whatever that means. And I don't know, they're supernatural. But immortality is maintaining existence and living longer than the average person, surviving a virus and cancer and disease and chronic illness relative to the average population. And so right now, if you outlive your kid, you're a god and you're immortal to your kid until you happen to catch it. But if you happen to not catch something that's going to cause destruction and you catch it and you know how to feed it, then you can keep continuing. And then all of a sudden, one day you're like 100 years old and you look like you're 30 and no one would know this unless they look at your driver's license. That's my aim is for my Jilly Juice crowd is they live a very long time and they look like they're in their 30s. So if they're like 75, 80 and they look like me today, let's say I told you I was 120 years old, would you believe it? I'd have to show you my driver's license, and you'd have to know that the government is the one that's tracking me. That's why they're tracking us, so they can track also the evolution of mankind. Okay, so that way we don't have people saying, oh yeah, I had some dude tell me that his guru or yogi was saying that he's over 120 years old. And I'm like, okay, so what exactly is the science behind his 120 years old? He's like, oh, he's in the process of getting it right, or getting it accepted by the the science industry. And I'm like, the science industry, they're doing transhumanism, okay? And what would keep someone alive indefinitely? Well, it wouldn't be someone who's a yogi who looked like because the person, like the follower, looked like they were aging. They had gray hair, or their hair was very thin, and they looked very skinny. And I'm like, if you're following someone that says that they're immortal, wouldn't you think they would give you some kind of clue on how to stay immortal? But you looking like that you need a hamburger tells me I don't think we're talking the same language here. And so now what they're doing, so now I'm so glad that they're tracking me. I'm so glad I have social media. I'm so glad I have a driver's license. I'm so glad I was on Dr. Phil, because now you can see what I look like back then. You can see what I look like today. And then you'll keep tracking me in the next 10, 15 years, if you're still alive, to see what I look like even in the future. And then if I get pulled over by a cop and I'm like 75 years old looking like this, and they're like, oh my God. And I say, well, yeah, go Google Jilly Juice. And I talk about living to 300 years, Well, here I am. I'm 75, 80, and I look like I'm 20. If I can, if our society stays relatively okay and we don't get decimated by nuclear war, I could live to be longer than 300 years, like I said on Dr. Phil. Okay? So anyway, I want you guys to know that I'm not trying to annihilate anyone, but I have to sharpen my own argument. And if that means that I debate in a nice way with a very entrenched person who loves their religion, and more power to her, if that's what gives her hope and whatever, okay. But at some point we have to let go of the crutches, okay? We have to invest in ourselves. Invest in things that are going to bring us up, not take us down and cause you to spin your wheels. And so right now you think I'm spinning my wheels with this person. I probably am, but I'm also sharpening my own tools. But I'm not going to be doing this too much. Once I get my arguments figured out, and I know that that everything that I'm saying is pretty much consistent, because if you are following a religion, whatever you call it, whether it's Jehovah's Witness, Christian, Pentecostal, if there is a 501c3 attached to your religion, then it's organized. That it's meant to enslave the masses, because you don't tax something that's going to enslave the masses into think there's a higher power, because higher power means that you are worshiping authority. Hey, I honor authority. I don't worship them. I know my boundaries. I'm not going to go 120 miles down the street in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. So I know what I have to, I know what rules and laws I need to abide by, but I don't worship anyone. I don't worship mortals. I worship myself. And myself, I'm keeping alive. And so I am my own God. I am the immortal God, me. But am I going to worship someone else? They're not even immortal, because I don't even know what's going to happen to those of you out there. I don't even know I won't know. I mean, let's say Jesus was alive right now and everyone wants to go bow down to him. Well, if they could prove that he was like 3,000 years old and he's still alive today, great. I don't know if I'd worship him, but I'd be like, wow, dude, tell me what you did. I want to know what you did to stay alive for 3,000 years. And he would tell me, and then everybody in his flock would be living to 3,000 years old. But if someone named Jesus right now said that he has been reincarnated into Jesus, I'd be like, no, I don't even know who you are. You know how many people have said that in the last, 100 years? All these different, cults and religious groups and off-grid communes with yogis and yoga people, and forget it. You take care of yourself. You worship yourself. You are your God. You are your one true God. If you have to say there's one true God out there, whether it's Anu, whether it's Enlil, Enki, Ninhursag, Nani, Inanna, Utu, or Jesus or Muhammad, if you have to say that those are the true God, you've fallen into the manipulation of the demigods of master-slave mentality. And then it's cannibalizing your flock. And I'm not about that. Neither is a JJ's crowd. That's why we do not preach anything in our group. You guys are free to go. And we're not trying to be the answer man and tell you how to stop the pain. We're not telling you how to live your life. We're just saying, if you want to live indefinitely and survive these viruses, you got to feel the pain, and understand viruses are the best thing in the world. If you want to evolve and stay alive and be and take on more intellectual ideas and know how to articulate them, whether written form or like a video, then you keep feeding your brain with amazing food of good information that will help you then evolve in the society and take on new information. But if you keep going back to old texts and spinning in the old texts and spinning your wheels, worshiping dead people, well, then that's what your future is going to be in a cured state, because I don't know what that person's future is going to be. They could be stay on the J juice forever, be in a cured state, preach the word of her God, and then be gone. And so I need to understand that mentality too. And I'm seeing that mentality because I don't know that person's future. All I know is what I see today and how entrenched people are and how salt was used in the past in the Bible to cure people in a state of self-destruction. Because you can only be in a cured state for so long, especially in a dynamic environment. And if you can't evolve your body, mind, and spirit, then you will be in a cured state, self-destroying, as well as destroying others around you. So, all right, bye.